Hello and welcome to our panel, Challenges and Possibilities in the Context of COVID-19, organized by Women in Immersive Tech. We have had 2 amazing days here at the Nordic VR Forum, and despite all the challenges imposed by the pandemic, our host managed to put together a great program showcasing the latest innovation in XR in Norway and internationally. So thanks a lot to Howard and the team for making the whole event and our panel possible. So how did I get the idea for this panel? We have all been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and those working in XR experienced our labs closed, our experiments, user studies projects postponed. At the same time, we had to be creative and inventive to explore new ways to communicate and collaborate with each other in XR. And women had to be especially inventive, often combining work and childcare during the pandemic and lockdowns. When my daughter saw me in VR headset, she got confused and asked, "Mommy, what are you doing?" So therefore, together with 5 amazing ladies from XR and gaming industry, I'm going today to talk about the challenges and possibilities we all encountered as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. This panel is organized in collaboration with Women in Immersive Tech, which is a European non-profit with thousands of members from all over the world. And the goal of this non-profit is to support, inform, and empower women working with XR. We begin our panel with introduction of our members. We have today 6 ladies, including myself, from Norway, Finland and Netherlands. And we start our introduction round with myself being the moderator. So my name is Ekaterina Prasolova-Førland, and I am professor at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology. I founded and lead Innovative Immersive Technologies for Learning research group and a lab. And I would say our lab is one of the most advanced XR labs in Norway and probably in Europe. My husband often says that I love my VR lab more than him. In addition to being a professor and a researcher, and I have been doing research in XR from about 2002. It was desktop-based XR these days. I'm also an enthusiast and what I call XR adventurer, because in XR and in virtual worlds there are a lot of hidden treasures that want to be found. Just wait for us to explore them. On the slide you see myself climb a virtual mountain hunting for gold medals. I have to admit sometimes I use the facilities of my lab for my own enjoyment and shooting zombies on Friday afternoons. I believe my students think I'm a crazy professor. But I'm also an adventurer in real world and real life. It's really important not to forget the real world, and I really cannot wait for pandemic to end so I can again go back to Easter Island and other great places. But at the moment, of course, I only can travel virtually. I strongly believe that a XR field should be diverse and inclusive in order to develop solutions that are useful for everyone. And while women constitute half of the world's population, they're really underrepresented in XR field, but also in the gaming field, I believe. So often I'm the only girl in the lab. And to encourage more women and girls to shape the XR landscape, we like to organize events, special events for girls at our lab, like you see on the slides, to inspire future XR leaders. This picture is taken before pandemic, of course. I am also an ambassador for women in immersive tech in Norway, and by being the ambassador, I hope to organize more of such events, but also to promote collaboration between Norwegian and international XR communities. At our lab, we specialize on XR for learning and training. We develop and evaluate educational XR applications with a wide range of research environments and stakeholders, representatives of industry and public sector. Examples include air training for neurosurgeons at St. Olav's Hospital, AR and VR visualizations of historical manuscripts at Guinness Library, VR visualizations and games for math and physics education, immersive visualizations of climate change and sea level rise in the city of Trondheim. And one of our most important projects at the moment is the one in collaboration with the Norwegian Labour and Welfare Administration, or NAV, where we develop immersive job tests allowing young job seekers to explore different workplaces in a safe and engaging way. Here you see a car workshop where two users can collaborate, and we especially focused on the collaborative mode during the pandemic to enable remote career guidance. Apart from research, our lab is used as a part of education at NTNU and for dissemination. So before the pandemic, we could receive around 50 visitors per day. Now we still receive visitors, but of course in smaller numbers. We also run innovation days and various open doors events. But enough about myself. With this blended version of this panel, we can easily move around Norway and Europe. So now we move from Hammer to Hell and to XR artist Lina Reinsbakken, who already made her presentation today. Lina, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Lina Reinsbakken, calling out from Hell. I'm the CEO and founder of Norn Studio, which is the content creation company focused on immersive storytelling and transmedia content. I've been blessed to get some funding from NFE and Mid-Norwegian Film, and also have a collaboration going on with the visual company Digital Domain. And I'm currently in production of my first VR series episode, called The Nine Daughters of Ran. And I've been involved in the VR scene from about 2015. And then, started like 3 years ago. I started going to all the different financing forums to pitch my talk. And now I'm finally in production. Yeah.
Thank you, Lina. Though international travel is currently not recommended by the Norwegian authorities, in this panel we can easily travel abroad, and now we go to Helsinki, Finland, and to Ksenia Avetisova, XR lead at TietoEVRY.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, but here where, who knows? So I'm in Finland, you're all over the place, and the event is in Norway. It's amazing. So I'm very excited to be part of the panel. My name is Ksenia, and I am head of Enhanced Reality Lab, or Center of Excellence, in TietoEVRY, which is a combination of Norwegian, EVRY, and Tieto from Finland. We have a wide range of different initiatives that we undertake for the customers and internally. But before I tell a little bit more about the professional side of things and my daytime job, I'd like also to mention that together with some colleagues or with friends from Sweden, I have been behind creating the organization or the network XR Women Nordic. And this is an open platform for Nordic XR professionals who associate themselves with women to be connected and to engage in common learning, in common projects, art, or professional things, industrial cases as well. So I strongly believe that there is a beautiful community out there, and there is a need to create connections between the ladies and between the allies in order to create something meaningful together. There's so much that we can learn, and there is so much that we can create together. And jumping back to the professional side of things, so TietoEVRY and enhanced reality, I have been involved in the XR field since 2015 as well. It seems to be a magical year when many of us or my colleagues and friends have actually discovered for themselves the opportunities of immersive technology and immersive world, and also understood that there is a lot to be done and a lot to be discovered in that. And my background is in user experience and digital service design. So I don't have a formal education in technology or in coding or in technical architecture. But I strongly believe that the way how we as humans communicate with each other is supported by technology, and the more immersion in different situations, not only talking about virtual reality, but also, of course, augmented reality and real-time access to data or to each other in different locations and different parts of the world, can really bring meaningful change to the way how we collaborate. And if we talk a little bit about the examples of the projects that we have been working on in the lab, it's the second slide in my presentation. One worthy to mention from Finland, we have worked with a Finnish forest company, Metsä, in order to create a virtual environment to present the actual copy or data-driven copy of the forest land of the Finnish private forest owners. And there are around 700,000 of forest owners in Finland, and forestry is one of the biggest domains, which holds a lot of money, but also puts a lot of responsibility for us and for the owners and the companies which deal with the forest in order to make correct decisions and in order to impact the environment in the positive way. And the virtual forest allows to visualize different operations before making final decisions. And it's the first of its kind. It's been rolled out now to the forest owners here, and we're also looking into opportunities of creating similar data-driven immersive environments for forest owners or companies abroad. Different other experiments that we have done and delivered connect to remote assistance and guidance for industrial cases, also immersive tours and sales experiences that allow you to be in different places and experience much more content than even is possible when you are there in person. And lastly, we also have been looking into social impact projects, such as the application driven by augmented reality, which allows kids to learn safety rules for traffic safety. And at that, I thank you and give the floor to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Ksenia. And now we move virtually from Finland south to Netherlands, and Dana Maria Faneker and her XR startup, Captain VR.
Hi, my mission is to help people to become the captains of their lives, and virtual reality is the most powerful tool to help me with my mission. That's why I founded a company called Captain VR. I sailed around the world as a crew member first and later as a captain. That's also why I started this name. And we are targeting organizations to help them with stress management. And our VR Mood Booster tool was tested for 2 years on insurance organizations FBTO with very good results. The people had were more productive, less stressed, less tensed, and had more focus. And we were planning to launch this tool this year, and we're targeting large organizations who deal with burnout prevention and stress management. And besides that, we also are currently helping organizations and businesses to bring their work online in VR. We use different platforms like Altspace and Mozilla Hubs and other platforms that help organizations to have fun and an exciting and interactive way to bring their work online with team building, large groups and small groups. So that's what I'm doing.
Thank you, Dana Maria. And now we move back to Hamar, and we are able to do so without going into quarantine because everything is virtual. And I give the word to our second physical participant, Catharina Bøhler, CEO of the Sarepta gaming company here in Hamar.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Catharina. I'm the co-founder and board leader of Hamar Game Collective, which is an organization made by game developers in the region to help each other out. I'm also the co-founder, CEO, and game designer of Sarepta Studio here in Hamar. And we focus on creating emotionally impactful games. And we've been doing VR a lot with clients, doing educational games, but then also focusing on our own narrative emotional games. And we really want to work on a game where we can combine these two. So our newest project, Project Thalassa, is a first-person psychological drama where you play as a deep-sea diver in 1905. So you walk around in this big suit and you go back down to a ship where you used to actually work, which is now sunk. And in VR, you go and explore this beautiful but sad scenario where you also try to understand what happened. And we really go into the topics of loss and trauma, while at the same time putting you in this very atmospheric and melancholic scenario where you also get to really try to explore being a deep-sea diver. So when it comes to our engagement in the industry for women, in the game industry we have something called Women in Games. And this year there was an organizational part started in Norway for Women in Games Norway, which I'm also a part of. Other things that are done in the industry is just trying to make sure that we can get a lot of attention to women who do well. I feel really lucky to have been able to been awarded the Hall of Fame for Women in Games Europe, and the what is it called? A role model for women in tech in Norway. And I feel that, of course, it's important to be able to feel like you are playing on the same level as everybody else. Me and my co-collaborator, Elin Festøy, we collaborated together on one of the games that we did for children born in war, and we won a BAFTA, and that's the first Norwegian studio to have won a BAFTA for Games Beyond Entertainment. And we didn't win this because we were women, but it's still very important to be able to stand out and do as best as we can as women to be role models. And I feel that our industry is often kind of misunderstood as this kind of very male-focused, very harsh industry, but in Europe and in the Nordics, our industry is actually very, very emotionally based. And so even though there are more males right now than there are females in our industry, it's still not a very masculine place to be necessarily. So I try to also make sure to walk around and tell people who are interested in games, who are interested in just being creative and working with immersive tech, and especially, for instance, very technical and maybe things that might look scary like VR, that this is more about being creative, it's about people, it's about being social, and it's about emotions. And it's not something that people should, and women should be afraid to join. So I think that the gaming industry and the industry as a whole for tech and VR as well, I think we'll be able to show that it's a very inclusive and nurturing area to be in, and I think everybody else here also would agree to that.
Thank you, Catharina. And last but not least, we're going to my long-term colleague and other XR professor, Judith Molka-Danielsen from Molde University College.
Hi, thank you for having me this evening. I'm a professor in information science and information systems at small college on the west coast of Norway, Molde University College. And I've been working with VR and a little bit with AR since about 2006. Instead of looking at the list of projects we've had, maybe you can go to the second slide. The second slide shows some of the early projects that we had from 2006. We worked with Second Life quite a bit. So we taught courses. There was one there that for like supply chain management, the ERP course, and we've taught courses in 3D design. We've used Second Life and VR for teaching courses in language, how to business talking, and also as places to develop cultural representations for language courses like Samisk, and also visiting places like Pisa or virtual Harlem and so forth. So we've used it a lot in a lot of different types of educational contexts, also in debate courses as well, so for social interaction. And then around 2015, we shifted to other types of VR platform, and we explored the use of head-mounted displays like Oculus. And we found that there was a kind of a shift in perspective from seeing things from through the desktop as a third-person perspective to seeing things in the head-mounted displays in the first-person perspective. And one of the things that was different about that is that even though it was, maybe we liked being in the third-person perspective in many cases because it was easier to see things from a different perspective, and also to control the environment was easier. When we moved to the head-mounted displays, somehow the interactions with the environment became more difficult, and maybe you weren't a superhuman anymore. You saw things as they were. So that was an interesting change. And then recently, in this would be the third slide, we have started to explore how to make use of augmented reality. And we have a course called AR for EU, a project that allows people to learn how to code in augmented reality. And we have a great team of 5 universities that are contributing to developing an online course and also an ebook for teaching students how to code in AR.
Thank you, Judith. So now that all our panelists have introduced themselves, I would like to ask our main question. How is your work affected by COVID-19 pandemic? What are the challenges and also possibilities? Is being a woman in XR gaming introducing additional challenges? So please give a concise and short answer to that, and we start in reverse order with Judith, and you get this extra slide to illustrate your answer.
Okay, so I mentioned that I was doing this project with how to teach AR coding, and we had initially planned that this course, one of our courses, would take place in a face-to-face context. And we found with COVID situation that we had to change this to an online format. And this created a lot of difficulties, and we did a little paper that explored the problems with this. And you could see in the first column of this slide some of the challenges that we encountered when transforming a course from a face-to-face context to an online context. And we could say, what were the lessons learned? I mean, I'm not going to go down and read all of these problems, but some of the things we learned is that it takes a great deal of planning, and it also takes a bit of agility and flexibility in your mindset. And also, what are the big challenges with this? Is that there's a challenge in being able to include everybody. So equity and inclusion are probably the biggest challenges. When you ask people what are the problems with online learning, it's loneliness, isolation, decreased engagement, and how do you transform a course from a 2D environment to a 3D environment? Many courses, not just this course in AR, but many courses have been converted to an online format, and they have found that students, if you give them a choice between completely online or a hybrid environment, they prefer the hybrid environment. Because in the hybrid environment, even the people that aren't in person, even the people that are not right there in Hamar with you, get an idea of what's going on. They get the social cues from the physical environment, even though they're participating virtually. So we have found that if possible, you want to be able to create this sense of the 3D experience, the live experience, because that is preferred to the virtual 2D experience.
Thank you, Judith. And now we go to Catharina.
Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, our industry is very, very creative, and it's multidisciplinary. So the biggest issue, and I thought we were not going to be able to make this, was just not being able to be around in the office, talking to each other, you know, doing your gestures, drawing on the board. But we quickly found that as long as we sit down and we try to use our tools that we already had, like using Discord, and trying to set up meeting rooms, trying to make sure that the technology can kind of mimic some of the things that we were doing physically. And especially, you know, with the whole mindset of everybody wanting to make this work, we actually managed to do this quite well, and I feel really, really lucky in our industry to be able to do these things and communicate so openly already. I did have 4 talks I was supposed to do internationally that got cancelled, although one of them we managed to do via an online conference, a little bit like this, except we were all just online. I was supposed to be meeting with publishers for our VR game. That actually worked better digitally, I found, rather than physically, because suddenly I didn't have to run from table to table. I could just sit and click between all the meetings, so that was actually a plus. But we found also that, being a different team as well, some managed to do this better than others, and the fact that we were able to have some partial coming back into the office, so that we're 2 people in the office, we're not 12 anymore, but even having 2, 3 people of the people who really feel like they need someone around them was really, really helpful. In our studio, 60% are in the risk group, so in general, we're going to be staying like this for a very long time. But I felt like, just being able to work with what we have. Also, there are some really great VR places where you can sit down and try to meet in this virtual space, and some of that was also really fun to do for some of my workshops. In general, but that's also probably because I'm in Norway, I haven't felt any extra challenges being female, I have to say. And I feel really lucky about that in general, because it's a very nurturing company and crew that we have here.
Thank you. Dana Maria? We can hear you.
Sorry. Yes, we had major changes, 2 of them, like one is VR hygiene and safety issues. The second one is people working remotely from home. Like I said, we were planning to launch the VR mood boosters for stress management to big organizations, but they're not at the organization anymore, and that will be not happening until next year. Besides that, another fact was that Oculus Go was going out of the market. That meant that the Oculus Quest came to replace it, and that is 800 euros for commercial licenses, and that is very expensive. And that meant that the VR mood booster is actually not enough. So because of that, I decided to develop again another tool, and that's called the Immune Booster. And this tool is helping with virtual reality and augmented reality people who work remotely to get work-life balance perfectly. and you get reminders to take action on the right moment. So stand up and go to the water table and drink some water. Simple things like that. And we're gonna build this tool. Next month, we are planning to talk to investors to get an investment to start building. We already interviewed a lot of organizations to get their input and analyzing the data right now. And for being a woman, oh yeah, and besides that, I'm helping organizations with coming online, like I said before, going to interactive spaces in virtual reality, Altspace. We do weekly events in Altspace together with educators in VR, but also from Captain VR about stress management and how to deal with in these stressful times with COVID-19. So we provide an interactive space where people can come together and share their feelings and worries and frustration and anger about this time we live in right now. And this is really, great work. So this is also really, we see a lot of opportunities coming as well. What I want to say about women, that I'm a woman, yes, sometimes I do feel that as a woman, I have some men, especially, that are non-believers in me or my startup. And I think that the main reason is that they don't really recognize themselves in me. So I think that is one of the main reasons. But since last year, I see there's a lot of things going on for women to promote women entrepreneurship. And also, for example, the VR Days, Europe in Amsterdam, they have like a load of women speakers right now. That is a beautiful thing to see, and I hope to see more of that worldwide.
Thank you, Donna Maria. Ksenia?
You raised very interesting questions, of course, about opportunities and challenges of this situation that the whole world is facing. And from the perspective of the professional challenges, I found that the one thing that we have faced at work is that all of the customers are searching the extra revenue streams now with the use of augmented or virtual reality technology. And that means not only working with technological solutions, but reinventing the ways how people work together, how organizations are working together. And that is much broader field. It's not only solved by a team of XR specialists. It needs to have a very cross-team, cross-experience, collaboration. And that's what we have been reinventing and looking into. And in general, what I believe strongly the opportunity in the current situation is to see how the immersive technology and how technology in general can be used to empower individuals, empower not only women, not only minorities, empower everyone equally. And that is always a very interesting challenge to solve. And kind of from the personal perspective, when thinking about being a woman in tech, in business, and being a mother of two school-age kids, I have faced very interesting challenges that I would have never thought of before this situation. I have been traveling and I have been sorting out the schedules, where can I go, which events, which conferences I can join in order to maintain the balance at home. But now the world of possibilities is in front of me digitally. So sometimes I end up being with my mobile device with the headsets and listening to the conversations, to conferences, participating even after work hours. Last week, there has been Unity Forum, Unity for Humanity. It was US time, so I spent nights and evenings online. There has been also Adobe Max conference, and it was pretty much 24/7. It was Europe, US, and Asia. Some talks were repeating, some talks were only available online. You couldn't see them in replay, and you would never know which one. So I had this working day with customer meetings, with team meetings, evening shift, because I'm so eager to learn this and to take these opportunities. And I have to travel there, but it's the time that now we have defined. How do we navigate all the opportunities that are in front of us? And I believe what we should all concentrate on is defining what is the value that we are providing with the services we are designing, with the experiences we are designing for humankind, for individuals. And I believe that could be a very good way forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ksenia. Lina?
I you're muted, I think.
You are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah? Good. So there's been a few ways that COVID has affected my production. Obviously, travel is restricted, and I'm collaborating with both China and US, so that's been a bit challenging, having to have meetings across. But it's worked so far. I'm pretty happy about that. Also, there's been a few delays of different things, so my schedule had been changed around a lot. This meeting that you have to prepare in fair enough things in a different chronological order. Yeah. And because of COVID, I've also had to move my studio over to my cabin so that we can set up both sound and motion capture studio here, which is actually kind of working out pretty good. Yeah. I've also had the challenge of having to quarantine after meeting, but we just have to make sure it works. As in any challenging or being common, for sure that I've encountered that, but I do believe that since the market is saturated yet, I think VR are a great opportunity for women to convey their messages on a platform. That's my
Thank you, Lina. Well, you have already mentioned many of the challenges I experienced myself. Well, when the lockdown happened, I have to move all my teaching to Mozilla Hubs. But the students have been extremely creative and inventive. They developed these great VR visualizations of their projects. They worked in VR, they socialized in VR, and my lab was locked, so the students couldn't work on their master and bachelor projects. What we did, we actually stripped down all the equipment and gave it away to the students, so all our equipment was distributed across Trondheim, many thousands of crowns, so our lab continued its operations in fully distributed and remote manner, and we also had to collaborate with the XR researchers all over the world, find people who are sitting with the right kind of equipment in lockdown at home so that they could run some tests for our students. Of course, I really missed traveling, but we did explore different innovative ways of meeting and collaborating with our colleagues in platforms such as Verbella, Space VR, Mozilla Hubs. We held full-scale international conferences there. We're still arranging these conferences. And also, apart from challenges, we actually got something positive in a way out of the pandemic. We got some new projects. From our faculty, we got funding for a project to explore rich, immersive learning in VR to support this new hybrid way of teaching that is kind of getting more and more the new normal, the result of the pandemic. We also got some two other projects from Erasmus Plus and national agency DICU on low-cost VR and AR for education. So we all learn a lot, and now our lab is open, and with strict hygienic measures we are still receiving visitors. And we even developed our own three-step hygienic protocol, which is much stricter than the one proposed by the Norwegian health authorities. Well, this basically is an overview of the challenges we have experienced. I believe that the XR community has been experiencing similar challenges. I wonder, are there any questions from the audience? Maybe we have time for a really short one. Well, if not, I think the time is running out. So I believe that Those who want to ask questions are welcome to reach out to our panelists. And as a final part of the panel, I ask everybody to give just a very short, a couple of sentences, advice to XR community, and especially women, on how to deal with this crisis. Again, we start with Judith, really short. You are muted.
Yeah, hi. Well, I guess we should be using our experience with the situation as an opportunity, because if we can deal better with face-to-face problems in the VR in the current situation, then we will also be able to share our experiences better when we can meet face-to-face, because we can also supplement that with XR experiences.
Okay, thank you, Judith. We will have out of time. Very short, please, Catharina, very short advice.
Okay, well, even though we sometimes have to sit alone, we don't have to be lonely. I know this is a little bit of a different thing, but there's a lot of things going on. For instance, there's this event by game developers called Karaoke, which you can find on Twitch stream, where you sit and you sing geeky, nerdy karaoke songs together. And there's a lot of things like this where you can do, where you can meet new people, and again, try to see the positive in what we're going through.
Thank you, Dana Maria.
Yes, so tonight there's going to be an event we are organizing for people who are interested in XR for their business or enterprise or organizations. So that's an alt space organized by Captain VR for Business, and also every Wednesday we organize for everybody during these stressful times to come together to talk about this frustration and anger and opportunities we have in these times here. That's from Educators in VR at Wednesday.
Thank you, Ksenia.
The only advice that I have is seek the ways to be more creative. Just forget all the limits and be more creative. Bring it to your work, bring it to your life, bring it to your family. And I think that's the way how we're going to be more happy in this situation.
Thank you, Lina.
Yeah, I'd have to say make the best of what you have, and then just be resourceful and creative. Yeah.
Thank you. And finally, my remark, according to ancient King Solomon, everything will pass. So COVID-19 pandemic will eventually pass. In the meantime, please stay safe and healthy. Use this time to develop new XR projects and ideas. And please don't forget to spend enough time in real life together with your loved ones. Thank you very much for our audience, for all the panelists, and for Nordic VR Forum, and especially Howard and his team. Thank you.